Hi everyone, I'm Peter Steinbacher from Audiotec Fischer and from PS Sound. Many of you know me, of course, as Peter from PS Sound, but now I have to introduce myself like this for a while because many people still haven't heard about the changes. How now I am the international sales manager for Audiotec Fischer and also the person responsible for global education. And we're not going into that right now. We will have a lot of content coming out regarding that too. But in this video, we would like to introduce the Mercedes to you. Some of you have seen previous videos on PS Sound about this car, how this project was started in 2022. First with a very simple approach. And then of course, we wanted to build a new reference car for PS Sound. And then the car was competing for many years and became European champion twice in 2024 and 25 in Master OEM Unlimited. This year in 26, the car wasn't competing anymore because now I had to present myself working for Audiotec Fischer. The car was there in Salzburg, some of you could see content of it, but I didn't feel it right to compete now this way. For me, ethically, morally, it's not the right thing to do once you're coming from the manufacturing side to compete against people who are doing it for the love of the hobby. It's a bit like when you go to a car performance event and you would come from Ferrari with a huge team. People wouldn't feel right about that because if you win, then of course you only win because now you are supported by Audiotec Fischer. As we know, cars perform because the person behind it, the person who understands how to install and how to design and how to tune an amazing car. That's what wins. And this is where I've built up the reputation with Eddie over the years, building amazing competition cars, and our team is still busy going to the events. And we always welcome everybody with doors open to listen to our cars, to hear what it's about, what the magic is about. So in this video, we are going to walk around and see the changes, what happened in this car, how it now got transformed slightly, and you will see step by step. So get ready for a lengthy video. This is not going to be a 3-minute video, but you know me. When we go into great detail, it's going to take some time. So get a beer, get popcorn, and then we will run around. I will go back in time, right to the beginning when the system was designed 4 years ago, because some of you have never seen this project. At the beginning, we wanted to design a system that would bring a new reference level for those who never heard an OEM platform performing potentially at a higher level than even fully custom built systems where you have optimized speaker locations, optimized speaker aiming. And when it came to the hardware, I was still wanting to make sure that we have a practical trunk space and we could use the car for daily use as well. Some of you know that before we had micro precision amplifiers in this car. The reason behind that was that even if we wanted to keep as much of the car loaded with Audiotec Fischer equipment that we have used over the years, which built up our reputation even back in UK with PS Sound, because anything from Audiotec Fischer has always been reliable and we could always guarantee the outcome. There was no surprise if we had a weekly simple system with, let's say, custom A-pillars, mid-bass in the door, sub-box in the trunk, simple layout for the amplification with soundproofing and everything. That was our simple daily system that we could complete with Eddie together. And if we finished it on a Friday afternoon and the client was coming back for the car before closing, even if I had 2 hours to set up the car, I was always safe. I knew that if I turn the system on, everything is going to perform, I can tune it efficiently, and the end result will always be maintained. And we wanted to keep the Mercedes also loaded with as much Audiotec Fischer equipment as possible, but unfortunately back then in 2022, we couldn't find any high-end amplification option that we could have put into this car because there was no RX2s. At the time, we had the option for, let's say, the MX4 Pro, but those amplifiers are huge. Most people don't even realize how big they are. And then if we had to have 2 of those in this amp rack, even physically they would struggle to fit, let alone the heat dissipation that it comes with for a practical car. They produce a lot of heat. Then you have to figure out how to keep them cool. If the car is sacrificed just for audio performance, it's not an issue. But when you have especially a sedan, a saloon, then the trunk is fully sealed and you have to do something with the excessive heat. So that was not an option. Then we could have used the graphic amplifiers, which are equally amazing Class AB amplifiers, but they also have the terminals both ends at the layout of, a long amplifier. And then you cannot have two of them side by side. They wouldn't fit because they are wider than the trunk. So we were stuck a little bit because there was no other option and the car was not really giving us any other layout configuration. So that's why we went ahead with the micro precision back then, because that was also an amazing option. They sounded great. There's literally nothing wrong I can say about those amplifiers. They performed amazingly. The car had 6 monoblocks for the freeway front end and a stereo 5 series stereo amplifier, which was running the additional air motion tweeters in the car. So we had 8 channels in the rack that now I had the chance to change those and fit the Brex RX2 Pros, which are revolutionary in the industry. Many people have never even heard of them. They've been out now for, I think, 2 years, and it's a development with Purify because they had the Eigentakt module, which does something that nobody ever thought that it would be possible. When it comes to Class D amplification, people know in car audio that here at Audiotec Fischer, we have some of the best Class D amplifiers with so modern solutions, with really smart power supplies. All the amplifiers are EV compatible as well, that not many other manufacturers can say. But equally, the development never stops here. We always want to see how far can you push it. It's a bit like Formula One. Let's see how far we can push technology to create an amplifier that's not Class A, that's not Class AB, it's Class D, but with the sound quality of the aforementioned options. And that's when the RX2 Pro came out, and many people who have experienced what they do, they don't hear any sign of Class D sound, some people could say. They are perfectly transparent, they disappear in the system, and they also have the benefit of unlimited power, because Class D is so much more efficient and you have way less heat dissipation. Since I had these amplifiers in the last 3 months, I had never had a single moment of heat protection, never. We had a lot of problem with that in the past. I accepted it. Many people accept it, especially in hot climate, when even over here we have summer. Even if the trunk was fully empty when I went to a demo day, after 4 or 5 hours of constant demoing, we got to the afternoon when heat protection kicked in, especially on mid-bass monoblocks from Micro Precision. And then we had to wait 10-15 minutes, open the trunk, let the heat go out, and then I could carry on playing for 20-30 minutes. Then again, heat protection. Of course, that can come quite annoying at times. I accepted it and I could live with it, but of course, it's not ideal. But it happens with high-performance Class A, Class AB amplifiers, especially if you play them loud too. Then you have to figure out how to do active cooling. But if you fit fans, then you may hear them. Can you do water cooling? That's not simple. So heat dissipation is a factor for high-end amplifiers that most people overlook. But it's very, very important. With these amplifiers, there's nothing to worry about. I can play the system 12 hours all day at any level and they never stop. And I even show to people when I ask them, just put your hands on the amplifiers. Yes, of course, if we get to a long day and it's also a very hot day, then they are hot, but nothing out of control. And that's amazing. Then, of course, on the sound quality side, I always say that, yes, maybe amplification is the least important item in the chain. And many people can disagree with that. But some of you remember when we had the sound quality in-car playlist that I started back in 2020. which I should actually add to the description. Then you can click on that playlist and then rewatch that, which just summarizes the fundamentals of designing a sound quality system. And in that series, when we talked about amplification, I explained that it doesn't have to be really, overcomplicated. What you want from an amplification is clean, undistorted power. Then you also need no floor noise and great dynamic range. These are the fundamentals. When it comes to the RX2 Pro, this is where now we are really pushing the performance similar to Formula One. These amplifiers have the lowest distortion level on the market. Like literally there's nothing else. You almost struggle to find the measurement tools that can measure to that level of low distortion. Then they have insane dynamic range. We have over 300 watt per channel at 4 ohm and over 500 watt at 2 ohm. It's a lot of power for a 2-channel amplifier in the same size as the Brax DSP. Getting quality amplification that can produce so much power would be 3 times larger and would dissipate a lot of heat if it was any other solution. And on top of that, when it comes to sound quality and floor noise, this is the first solution I've come across with. It doesn't mean that there's no other option like this on the market. Surely some of you may say, yes, my amplifiers can do the same. But with these amplifiers, you don't have any floor noise. Even when you put your ears right next to the speakers, only 2 centimeters away, you hear nothing. And when we want a system that doesn't highlight the amplification, this is very important. Especially when you listen to music late night in a quiet environment at lower moderate level at like 70, 80 dB, then floor noise can show up, and that kills the illusion that you are listening to just music. As soon as you hear any floor noise, you can tell you're listening to a system. So to me, this is very, very important. And these amps do an amazing job from that point of view as well. Then the DSP got upgraded, and then now it has all the ESS cards on the output. So many people were asking if there's any plan for further developing the Brax DSP, because it's been out for quite a few years. And of course, people try to compare the performance of this DSP to anything else on the market. And they say, oh, it's still the same DSP like 6-7 years ago, which is true. But the good thing is that this DSP was designed in a modular way. So the development can carry on even if it looks the same from the outside. And this is when now the digital analog converters, both input and output, now have the option for the ESS cards, the latest, best quality digital analog converters, which showed that yes, even after probably more than 5 years when the DSP came out, we could still raise the bar, and we have the best sound quality coming out of those output cards, which is also equally important when it comes to amplifying the signal coming from the source and making sure that the amplifiers can have signal that's the best quality. Then of course the PC tool never stops in terms of development, and the DSP can run on the latest PC tool. So you get all the latest features, everything that any other DSP we have on the market. And that's one of the reasons why this DSP is still right on the top. We don't feel like that we now have to design something completely from scratch, because more than 10 years ago, the mindset was already there that let's make a product that we can just update and make sure that it's always up to date. And that's exactly what's happening with this DSP. Other than that, one more thing changed in the car, which was the subwoofer. I gotta mention this. This is one item in this system that's not from Audiotec Fischer. Many people know my background, where I come from, what we have achieved with PS sound over the years. And we always said location, application, tuning. These are the 3 most important things for an amazing system. And when it comes to application, that's when we are talking about the application of the subwoofer. Conventional solution is to have a box. But what happens when we put a box into the car? The car itself is a box. Most people don't realize it. When you sit inside of the cabin, it's a box. So now you put a speaker into a box, then you put it into the car, which is another box. Then you have box in a box. And the original sound that comes out of the source goes through the hardware, and then to the time you hear it, gets affected so many times. And we figured out, following the fundamentals, and of course, this application was used even back in the 80s. Infinite baffle is the simplest solution to separate front and rear wave of a speaker. And then this way, the subwoofer is using the airspace of the whole cabin. And then you sit inside of that. So you sit inside of the box and you hear a more pure bass performance, which is so effortless, so addictive. And many people know that PS Sound has become very famous of having many cars with this application. And for that reason, I don't think I will ever have a demo car, I hope not, that would have a different subwoofer application. Because when it comes to creating an experience, that will definitely be a very strong point of a system. When people hear sub bass, that's just super effortless. I demo this car on meetings, on events for partners as well. And when we get to the end of the demo, of course, it always becomes a bit more fun. We turn the volume up, and then we also play songs that can play super low. This sub is linear down to 11 Hertz, and it freaks people out how the lower we go in the frequency range, the more efficient it is. And it creates so much pressure as well, which is not for everybody, of course, it's not for the purists. But we also know that in the industry, probably 90% of the car audio users like output. They like to feel music. It becomes part of the delivery to create an emotional, memorable experience. And with this application, we don't even need much power to create that. So this is a new development from One Audio. There's nothing to hide about it. Scott designs amazing subwoofers, and it just does something magical. Everybody who heard this car never complained about the accuracy, even if the speaker looks a bit crazy, like an SPL speaker, but it's far from it. It's super accurate. Even when we play very delicate acoustical music with cello, contrabass, drum solos, where you have different dynamic levels of a drum, how the drummer kicks that skin, and then it completely blends in. It's not hanging, it's not booming. It keeps up with the front end just as well as any glorified SQ subwoofer in a box. But when it comes to the bottom end and the efficiency of it, then that's where it changes the game, because once people hear an infinite baffle, most of them cannot live without it. I can't lie, I cannot live without it. People know it. So that's what changed in the trunk. The amplification for the sub is still the same. It's a Helix P1, plenty of power for the subwoofer. And we also have a P6 that runs the surrounds still in the car. And when it comes to the components, now we will jump to the cabin and I will show you what changed over there. Here we are now in the cabin, and this is when I'm going to run you through what's happening when it comes to the speaker installation in this car. So as I mentioned, the beauty of this project was always the fact that people could never see where the speakers are. And that was very exciting to me right at the beginning, to create an audio listening experience where you can really focus on just listening. Nothing for the eyes, everything for the ears. And over the years, we have proved that it worked out amazingly. But for an OEM layout, it's very important to find a car that has good locations. So in this car, having the mid-range and the tweeter vertically aligned very close, it gives us a lot of benefit to create a stable image where the imaging point from the mid-range and the tweeter is always lined up so easily. So even if it's a wide car with greater puff length difference, still the image is consistent throughout the whole width of the car. Then of course we get more stage width, which is nice because many cars struggle with width, and people cannot really explain why that's a problem when you have a system where the stage is narrow. Many people complain, but they don't know why they complain. I think it's one of those things that our human hearing is naturally used to hearing space, a wide, large space. We can tell information not just from the front, but also from the back. When we go to a space, whether it's a living room, a concert hall, a church, or the car, we can tell the size of the room and we can tell things around us. But when we listen to music with stereo, we only hear it in front of us. And when you create a system where the stage is also very narrow, it kind of becomes unnatural. And that was one of the reasons why I always wanted to have a system where I can also demonstrate for educational purposes when we can do more than just stereo. Stereo recording has one big limitation. It cannot recreate space that way, behind us, on the side and behind us. For that, we would need Atmos, and hopefully soon at some point we will have Atmos and we will be able to recreate more realistic sensation of space. With stereo recording, the limitation is that you get distance to the soundstage, where the soundstage starts. When something was recorded close, you will perceive that very close to you. And that's something that even in competition they can judge. Where the stage starts. Does it start here, there, or further away? Then we can judge stage depth. Depth means, in relation to the distance to the stage where it starts, how the layers work out behind that, how far you can perceive sound. Of course, for that you need certain recording technique to create room information and space going forward. And that's great. We can create illusion that we have room that way. And of course, we will have limitation on stage width, mainly based on the speaker location, where far left and where far right is. But then we create an envelope. We create an envelope presentation where the sound stage is only there in front of us. And then even if we make it perfect for competition expectations, it's still somewhat unnatural because we don't hear anything beyond that. It's even more highlighted in today's modern cars because most new cars are filled with more soft materials. Back in the day, we didn't have soft pillars and soft headliners, thicker carpet. Now in new cars, everything is thick and absorbing. The body is absorbing as well. So when you do the simple test, when you sit in a car and you clap, when everything is closed, you can hear that you are in a tiny space. Even when you shut your eyes, you can tell. And this is why I created a system where we have not only stereo in the car, but we also have rear fill. In many videos, you could hear me talk about differential rear fill, which is a different term. It's not normal rear fill. Of course, we can have different presets in the car where I can change between options. If I have rear passengers and if I want the rear passengers to hear the whole spectrum from the recording, left and right, we can run the rear fill normal. But we can also run the rear fill differential, which means that we are not only sending left signal to the rear left and right signal to the rear right, we are also sending left signal and right signal to the rear left, but you keep the rear left polarity correct and you flip the polarity on the right. By that, you cancel out the mono information even within the DSP. So it's not going to send any mono information to the rear speaker. The same way you are sending left and right to the rear right speaker, but you keep the right polarity correct and you flip the relation of the polarity on the left signal. So this way, the rear speakers will only play what was recorded in stereo in the recording. You will hear only the ambience, the room information, the reverberations. In electronic music, you will only hear the stereo effects, which this way doesn't affect the front staging and the front imaging. Everything will still stay stable, holographic, but then you can create more ambience, more room information. Yes, this requires different type of delaying, little tricks, but the process is not difficult. Whenever I demonstrate this to anybody, especially how we can easily control the system, here underneath the armrest, we have two controllers. where there's a small URC3 connected to the P6, which then can allow me to attenuate the signal of the rear speakers in fraction of a second. Then this way people can tell what it's like to listen to music with or without the rear surround speakers. I'm mentioning this now in finer detail because probably we never really had a video of it, and it's never really been highlighted publicly. Yes, on our Patreon channel we have a lot of content, many things that people can learn from. But it's important to highlight there's more to listening experience in a car than just pure stereo. Fair enough. If somebody is looking purely just for stereo, there's no problem. The rear field can be turned off. But according to my experience, I haven't come across anybody ever in the last 7 years since I figured out how to design systems with differential rear field, a person that would have said that, Pete, this was a bad idea. Nobody. Everybody always mentioned that they cannot live without differential rear field. It adds so much more realism and room information to the listening that it enhances, it makes the listening experience more engaging. That there's nothing on the negative side. Of course, for pure competition where they judge just left and right, where you have technical positional tracks over there, it's a bit tricky to use it. So it's better to turn it off for especially ammo competition. But for daily use, it can truly make a huge difference. And sometimes even when customers say that, Pete, I don't need rear speakers, I say the opposite. And I have to force my point of view and tell them to trust me, that we will only make the listening experience better. Once people experience it, of course, there's no question about it, then they will understand why I design every system with differential rear field in addition. So we have the same wideband speakers at the back. You could use components, you could use a coax speaker, but in general, because of the processing, as you cancel out the mono information, and in a recording, mono is usually the baseline, anything below 150, then it's not going to be played from the rear speakers, even if you didn't have a high-pass filter on the speakers. So it's perfectly enough even to have a 3 or 4-inch speaker to play from like 200 Hz upwards, and it can cover the required frequency range. Now that I talked a lot about the extra that's happening in this car, I have to highlight the speakers, what we have right now. So before we had the ML1, and at the beginning I had the ML3. Then there was a phase when I tried the micro precision 4-inch mid-range in the car, because I was hoping I would get better lower mid-range definition in the car, because naturally a larger speaker has better warmth and body in between 150 and 300 Hz, which was true testing the speaker on the bench compared to a 3-inch mid-range. But interestingly, as soon as you put it into the given location and application in the car, in this case the speaker behind the door card uses the airspace between the inner skin and the door card. Technically works free air. It's not free air because the space is limited, but it doesn't have a box. And as soon as you put that speaker to the same location, the 4-inch mid-range had absolutely no benefit. It didn't do anything more in terms of lower mid-range extension or definition than the 3-inch can do. Which was a bit surprising, but that's just the magical thing with car audio. Not everything can be so easily predicted. And in this case, it was assuring that even if I go back to a 3-inch speaker, I would still have amazing results. If anything, the 3-inch speaker gave me better layering, better stage depth, and higher resolution in the mid-range as opposed to the 4-inch. So actually, now that we moved to the latest BRAC speakers, we have the ML80 Pro and the ML28 Pro. Things have moved forward, which is great. That's what we wanted. We also have the same ML80 Pro in center that I can also demonstrate to clients. Same way with the controller, what the system is like to have holographic center image with just left and right, or with the additional physical center field, where we can apply the center field algorithm in the DSP, and it gives more physical placement to the center image, which can also help the passenger side listening experience. The mid bass in the car hasn't changed. We still have the ML8 mid, 8-inch drivers in factory application. And that's another key element in this system. That's one of the reasons why I bought this car and a Mercedes platform, because this was the first model in 2013, came out in 2014, when they introduced the mid-bass in the firewall. By that I mean that the speaker is mounted on the steel of the wall that separates the cabin from the engine bay. In this car you have a dual layer firewall where the driver is using the airspace in that wall, as well as there's an opening that extends the airspace into the engine mount rail, which is another sealed tubular space. I'm not too sure how big the airspace, but it's plenty, because I don't feel any compression on the driver you would usually feel in a smaller sealed application. But it's definitely not infinite baffle at the front, because you don't hear the mid-bass outside as if it was infinite baffle. So the Mercedes application works amazingly. We even demonstrate the car when I turn the subwoofer off in front of people listening to it. And I show them what the system can do even without the subwoofer. Then this also wakes people up why I always emphasize the importance of solid mid-bass mounting. That's the key to have great bass integration in a car, that the mid-bass has to be mounted very, very solidly. Once you have no loss of energy, the mid-bass speaker doesn't lose any energy, then you get full performance from it. When bass notes have to hit and the attack is fast, then it will perform completely differently when the speaker is truly mounted on rigid platform. If it's in a door in a factory application, it will never be like that, unless you build an enclosure. Of course, that can help. But having drivers here in this car mounted on steel, the strongest part of the car, it's a bit like in home audio where you have super rigid enclosures, and the only sound that you hear from the driver is truly only coming out of the driver. And it's pretty shocking when people experience how controlled the bass in this car is, even without the subwoofer, let alone the output capability. We can create more output from just the Mercedes locations with a pair of 8-inch drivers, even with our match or helix upgrade options, than you can ever have from any door with any speaker. Mercedes platform, to me, when it comes to OEM system design, is currently the winner. I haven't come across any platform that would work better for this reason too. And as well as I mentioned earlier, that the mid-range and the tweeter is also beautifully aligned. Yes, in the latest versions, Mercedes moved the mid-range further down in the door, which is still okay. At least it's a controlled environment. It's not affected by the reflections that much, so you can still get very solid image in the center. You can still get it high. Maybe for competition, it can have slight effect on far left, far right, pulling down a little bit, having a bit of rainbow effect you might have heard about. But for everyday listening, that's still a great location. But this platform still wins to me, and it proved it in the competition over the years, as the car won twice in 24-25, and then many other people started to build OEM platforms with Mercedes, and they equally do really well, like even this year in Monster OEM 5000 class, they showed that again a Mercedes won the class from UK too. So that's roughly the front end. And maybe I have to mention for a second, because some of you guys who haven't followed this project, we have two sources. We have full integration with the head unit. So we have most integration. These German cars have fiber optic between the head unit and the factory amplifier, and that fiber optic signal can be converted to optical. And this way we can retain clean, unmolested source from the head unit that we can feed to the DSP. So if I play USB lossless, then I have great playback quality from the car, and I can have phone calls, everything fully retained, seamless integration in good quality. We also have a DAP that we can utilize with the extension card in the DSP, and we can direct stream on aptX, which is a 24-bit 48 kHz streaming. Many people don't believe that the car can sound good with a Bluetooth card, but many people don't understand the difference between standard Bluetooth, lower quality, that even this car through the head unit still has. Or now that we offer with Audiotec Fischer DSPs, you can have the back hack or the MAC card for match DSP amplifiers, where you have 24-bit streaming. Maybe just for a second I have to explain this. So 16-bit is CD quality, and that's good quality, as we know. 24-bit is not just the case that it's 8, 24 minus 16 is 8, that it's only few numbers difference. 24-bit is massive difference. It's 2 on the square, on the square, on the square. So 16-bit and 24-bit is a massive gap. So we can play through streaming higher quality than CD. And when we demonstrate the car with the head unit or with the DAP, everybody's surprised when I move the player, and then they realize that it's not wired. They can't believe how good it can sound until you have aptX in your device, which can be a phone as well. If your phone has aptX module, you can stream in beautiful lossless quality. Yes, we always have clients who are super OCD and they want to make sure that they have wired connection. Then the DSP can have different options for that, optical, coaxial, and we can also have the hack USB module, especially the new one that's coming out soon for perfect stream. And that will always also be able to charge your device with 2 amps, which will be very helpful on long journeys. So probably now I got to the end of the description of this system. As you can see, I told you at the beginning, it's a very long video to give you more insight into what happened in this car in the latest chapter. Also, it's worth mentioning that in description I will add our Patreon channel where you can see the whole RTA evaluation of this system. Then you will see exactly what the response is from the tweeter, from the mid-range, from the mid-bass, from the sub, all the speakers, and you will also be able to see how I approached the tuning of this system, how it became a European champion setup. Because many people, without hearing the system, they cannot imagine it. They don't know why it's different, why so many people talk about this car, and why we have reactions sometimes we share on social media where many people mention the word that it's crazy, it's unbelievable. They say it for a reason, because it's truly spectacular. And I want to keep this car for as long as we can, because of course people need to experience it. And if anytime we have a demonstration vehicle, we always have to show the possibilities. What can be done today in a car? And this is probably the largest message to all of you guys. Anybody who wants to expand the business, wants to raise the bar, you always need a demo car. I said it a million times over the years. Demo car is the strongest selling tool. Having an amazing shop with a display is one thing, but when you have a demo car where you can put the customer in and then you can give them the experience, what you can create, and they can get a taste to it, it's just like when you go to a restaurant and if you had the chance to taste the meal before you order it. It's the same when you go to buy ice cream. You have 20 options and which should I have? At the better places, they will give you a bit of a taste and you can taste before buying. Same thing with the demo car. The power of a demo car is the most extreme. Once you can deliver something magical, you just sell the system off the bats right there on the spot, and then people will gain your trust. The other way around, you will gain their trust, and after that everything is simple. And that's what has worked out for me over the years as well. Over hundreds and hundreds of people who sat in this car, and from Audiotec Fischer as well, they could tell that I can truly deliver this, and I can also teach this to the masses globally. And after that, everything is simple. So if we have any changes in the future, you will still see more updates of this car. Of course, on Patreon, I always have more behind the scene details. This is not the end of this project. Now that the car doesn't compete, we can do slight changes to it. I don't want to change the OEM layout because that has huge power, as I mentioned. Nothing is for the eyes, but we will do slight little changes because now we are allowed, we are not limited by the competition rules. But as this system stands, people have to hear something like this. And we will always make sure that we will have demo cars at different levels, representing what can be done with a match plug and play solution, how we can move a factory system from a 2 out of 10 to a 5/6, where you can have a system that's aligned, equalized, balanced, with additional subwoofer integrated to the system, and can be done so easily. We will have always have demo cars with Helix setup as well, where you can get a high-end result in a very simple way. And of course, Brex will always stand for the best, where you will build a system where there's no compromise, and you will always show the absolute reference level. And right now, when it comes to reference level, this is one of our demo vehicles, and we will make sure that you can find a chance, a time and a location to hear this car or any of our cars when we go to events. And you will also find a list in description for the upcoming locations this season, and you will see where you can have a chance to hear this vehicle as well. On this note, guys, thank you very much for staying with us for this long video. Feel free to comment, as always. Feel free to share it so more and more people can get inspiration to experience an amazing audio system. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.